Webster. Diana Davis here, Webster Open Space Committee. Just to give you a quick rundown on what you're seeing behind me, this was 20 acres of forest. It was one of the last wild spaces in the core area. We've got hard road to my front, backing up onto Publishers Parkway. The problems with this development are manifold, but before I go into it, I do want to say that this particular developer, they're a good company, and they are Webster local, and they are keeping 5 acres along Publishers Parkway. However, the timing of this was very, very wrong. This particular parcel, as a 20-acre potential community forest, was on the green print in 2022 that Webster Open Space Committee commissioned, that we wanted the town to consider this as part of a public vote referendum for acquisition of green space. This would have been an excellent addition to the town's green space, open space inventory because of its proximity to the 2 local schools on Publishers Parkway and because of its location within the core area. If you look at our 2008 comprehensive plan, there are several initiatives which talk about the environmental sensitivity of all of the woodlots and the stream corridors and the wetlands within the core area. By the way, on the National Wetland Inventory, there were wetlands on this parcel, but because they didn't show up on the DEC info locator, they basically just didn't exist for the purposes of the development procedure here. So what I want to talk about is the way that at every step of the way in this, in the town board's 12/5/2024 referral of this project to the planning board and the considerations that it had to make, and in the planning board's own determination in May of this year that this project qualified for a special use permit, both of these things being thresholds for development within an office park district, affirmation had to be made that this particular project was in line with our current comprehensive plan. But when you look at the initiatives in the comprehensive plan pertaining to preservation of woodlot within the office park district, a 20-acre clear cut, I'm sorry, that's just not in line with what those initiatives state. Now, arguably, several of those initiatives in the comprehensive plan talked about making code changes that were never made. But one of those initiatives declared intent to preserve. And the comprehensive plan, in its intentions, is an actionable document. And when the code asks whether a project is in harmony with it, it's asking whether it's in harmony with those intentions. Now, if we're saying that it is, but it's not, we're clearly ignoring the plan. And if we've gotten to a stage where we're not using our 2008 comprehensive plan as a guiding document, then we shouldn't be developing. There should be a temporary moratorium on all non-essential development while the comprehensive plan is underway. Because we were told in 2022, when this parcel was on our green print, that it would be inappropriate to hold a referendum under the logic that while our comprehensive plan was about to be updated, we shouldn't be making large-scale purchases of green space, which would limit or alter the trajectory of what gets developed in Webster where. Under the same logic, big development like this should not be happening while we're updating our comprehensive plan for the very same reasons. It fundamentally negates any potential for different future use. It is by no means a certainty that our new comprehensive plan will suggest that we should have a 300,000 square foot industrial warehouse in this part of Webster. That is leading me to the second problem that I have with this development is the zoning variance. Because bad decisions were made in the past to issue big variances to folks in this area, the developer was able to argue that their variance from the 45,000 square foot maximum to what they were requesting, 300,000 square feet, was not significant in comparison to the other projects that had already been given such variances. We all know from primary school, from kindergarten, that 2 wrongs don't make a right, okay? It's not a good idea to continue bad development practice, and that means that such a variance was inappropriate. Equally taken into account that the 300,000 square foot total was initially supposed to be in phased developments because the applicant admitted that they weren't there yet as a company to require all 300,000 square feet of warehouse space. They initially just wanted half of that and only anticipated needing the rest in 6 to 8 years' time. But because construction costs were more than they had anticipated, they're doing it all in one. hopefully I wish the company well, hopefully we don't end up with empty warehouse space and less woods than we could have had. Altogether, however, if you look at the entirety of this story of development and the minutes from the meetings, there never seems to really be a sense of how important it was to keep these woods, or as much of them as possible. There was never a real consideration of the value of this, and this is my concern, my ongoing concern. The difference between Webster residents, their priorities, as we saw in the surveys this summer, how much people love their green space and love wild spaces like this, and this view at a town level that every parcel that's vacant is a missed opportunity for tax dollars. And speaking of tax dollars, I was speaking with some of the residents who work here and are watching all of this and feeling really awful about it, that Webster is a place that you expect to pay more because of beautiful open spaces and because of nature, not because you want to live in total build out. So